All right, welcome back everyone. My name is Pratesh here with Kaizen Crypto, bringing you another video. So I hope you guys are all doing well. Thank you so much for joining me here today. In this video, I wanted to share with you all a status update from the Cardano roadmap. So we're taking a look at that. This is a weekly update just to go over some key things that we can anticipate going forward. Also addressing a question that I've been receiving a lot from the community. Is it actually worth it to run a stake pool? So in this video, what we're going to be doing is taking a look more in depth at the Shelley Incentivized Testnet Rewards Calculator. So this was the calculator that was available to use to understand the numbers involved with operating a stake pool on the incentivized testnet. These numbers are just assumptions, and this is just to give you an idea. It's a visual representation, but hopefully after running some numbers, you'll have a better understanding of if it actually makes sense for you to run a stake pool. So all of that is going to be here in this video. Let's go ahead and get started. All right, everyone, thank you all so much for joining me here today. If you guys do enjoy this video, if you do find some value from this type of content, please be sure to drop a like for me. It definitely does help out the channel. If you guys haven't done so already, if you want to stay updated with Cardano content like this, be sure to hit that subscribe button. Click that notification bell also so you know when I post a new video. If you do have any comments or questions about anything that we're talking about here today, make sure you let me know down in the comment section. So as far as our weekly update, I wanted to share with you all some information from the Cardano forum. So lots of things to anticipate here coming up in the very near future. Most notably is going to be the Shelley hard fork coming up on July 29th. So as far as some of the developments happening, I wanted to go ahead and read briefly this article talking about some things that are relevant for stake pool operators, for ADA holders. So let's go ahead and take a look. We've been hard at work this week as we head towards the hard fork, still on track for the end of this month. The main event this week has been the creation of a newly spun testnet built on the public mainnet candidate. You may recall that we've already successfully tested the hard fork combinator, a little piece of blockchain wizardry created to achieve a smooth and orderly transition from Byron to Shelley. That was within an internal IOHK lab environment. This week, we have for the first time run the full process in the field. So we have effectively recreated the steps that we'll go through later in July to activate Shelley functionality on the mainnet. A dress rehearsal, if you like, and so far it's looking good. At the time of writing, we're just finishing off some final Q&A on the 1.15 node CLI, bringing some additional functionality for our community of pioneers to test. As soon as we're happy with this, we'll deploy to the new testnet and invite an initial group of pioneer testers to join and try it out before opening up more widely. So what's new? A few things are different from the previous testnet that relied wholly on testers drawing test ADA from the faucet. For this testnet, we took a UTXO snapshot of current mainnet balances and converted them into the equivalent distribution of T-ADA. This has no real-world value, but going through this process helps us ensure all balances will be captured and displayed correctly come the real thing. It also makes a more realistic simulation for our Pioneer testers' own wallets. Of course, on mainnet, the whole blockchain history will be transferred over, not just a moment-in-time snapshot, but this is a good test for now. Any rewards earned on the ITN will also have been reflected in balances, another important test prior to mainnet. As a reminder, these rewards will be claimable after the hard fork. Please note that any ADA being stored on an exchange or in a hardware wallet at the time of the snapshot won't have been captured. Effectively, the hard fork combinator process is a little like merging lanes of traffic. We've been working within a solely Shelley traffic lane on the Shelley testnet till now. But of course, on mainnet, there'll also be significant amounts of historic Byron traffic in the system, historic transactions and addresses that will need to be merged in. So this new testnet is a very close simulation of where we'll be come end July and early August, that blend of the old Byron-based network and the new Shelley node. Initially, pioneers will have to access this testnet functionality through a command line interface. A new Daedalus is coming next week. The team is currently working on compatibility between Byron and Shelley era addresses and transactions. Once done, we'll get a new Daedalus wallet and every ADA holder will be free to have a play. To reiterate, there are no real ADA rewards on the Shelley testnet, but we hope you enjoy testing out the closest we have yet to come to offering the full Shelley experience. Getting exchanges upgraded. This next phase of the testnet program is particularly important for our exchange partners too. They will also need to use this new testnet as part of their upgrades to support the hard fork. The old SL system will be switched off early next week as the first of the 2 phases of the Shelley exchange migration. We have a dedicated team working with exchanges to ensure they are Shelley ready. Any exchange that does not upgrade in time risks temporarily locking any customer's ADA on the exchange until they do apply the upgrade. So we are working hard to ensure our partners are upgrading and therefore minimize any potential downtime or disruption during this process. But ultimately, it is the exchange who needs to deploy this upgrade. If you do experience any issues accessing your exchange ADA during the next few days, please contact your exchange first, then IOHK's technical support desk, so that they can help you with any additional support or information your exchange might still need. As we hone in on the full mainnet experience, we will be releasing new versions of Daedalus on a regular basis via the Cardano testnet's website. You'll need to update your Daedalus wallet as necessary to engage with the testnets and experience all the new Shelley features for yourself. Please keep an eye out for new developments via IOHK's Twitter. We'll let you know as soon as new Daedalus wallets are available. There will be a few more coming. Try them out and let us know about any improvements that we could make. We have already incorporated a lot of feedback and hope you like the experience, but it's always good to receive more so we can make the Shelley staking experience as good as it can be. All right, very cool. That is exciting to hear. So there was a balance snapshot. Now this is going to be relevant if you are a stake pool operator. If you're an ADA holder, there is nothing you need to worry about as far as this balance snapshot. This is because we had previously in the Shelley Haskell testnet a faucet in which to draw test ADA from. Now this faucet didn't really give us the best simulation of what these stake pool operators are going to be using in terms of their pledge, in terms of their amount that's delegated to their stake pool. So I think that by having a UTXO snapshot of current mainnet balances is going to give us a better idea of what stake pool operators are going to be using for the metrics related to their stake pool. So looking forward to that. Also keep an eye out for the new versions of Daedalus that are coming out to be able to test Shelley wallet functionality. If you guys haven't done so already, I will be sure to leave a link for you down in the description. That way you can download the latest Shelley Haskell testnet version for Daedalus. So those are some updates related to the Cardano project, tentatively looking at July 29th for the Shelley hard fork. So coming up very soon, excited about that. Next up, I wanted to share with you all some of my thoughts regarding a question I've been receiving quite a bit from the community. So as you all know, I'm currently building our stake pool to run on the Shelley mainnet. You guys want to make sure that you hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. I've got an exciting sneak preview I wanted to share with you as we get closer to Shelley mainnet. But more information on that to come. Make sure you guys stay tuned for future videos. So anyway, to get back to what I was talking about, if we click here on where it says run a stake pool, we'll have the option to adjust some certain parameters. That way we can actually determine for ourselves if it actually makes sense to invest the time and the money into running a stake pool. So what we have here, these are just some basic functionalities of this calculator. We can choose the amount of ADA we'd like to set aside to delegate. We can choose our fixed fee. And then just some certain metrics that are very basic, but I wanted to go ahead and dive in a little bit deeper and explain a few of these metrics for you. So taking a look, if we click on the advanced options, we can go ahead and select the amount of ADA that we'd like to delegate. I think that if you are going to be setting a value in this parameter, I would recommend that you set aside the amount of ADA you'll be delegating to your stake pool in the form of pledge. Now, pledge and delegation are two separate things, but for the sake of this calculator, I think it's a nice number to work with. So keep in mind, if you are considering running a stake pool, the amount of ADA that you have in pledge is something that you have locked into your stake pool. Essentially, a pledge is a mechanism that's designed into the protocol to prevent something called a Sybil attack. And what a Sybil attack would be is, let's say for instance that there was a bad actor on the network who decided that they wanted to spin up maybe 1,000, maybe a couple thousand stake pools. Essentially, if they do that, they could potentially gain over 51% control of the network. So by having a pledge, what this does is it makes a Sybil attack that much more difficult. So it's just a way to be able to help the security of the network. So for the sake of this video, let's choose a very conservative pledge amount. I think that you would have to definitely increase your pledge amount if you are even considering entering into the top 150 pools. Right now, the K parameter is set at 150. What this means is that there is going to be some larger stake pools out there that will become saturated more quickly. And what this will do over time it'll diminish those rewards for those top stake pools. And we'll see that delegators will be able to move over towards smaller stake pools, thus helping to further decentralization. So lots of things to consider if you are going to be running a stake pool. Those are just some of the few key things I wanted to share with you guys. I'm going to choose a pretty conservative amount. I think it's kind of like middle of the road from what I would think is a high or a low pledge. Let's choose something like maybe 100,000 ADA. And you know, the parameters could definitely change, so please just go ahead and take this with a grain of salt. This is really just to show you a visual representation. So we'll choose 100,000 ADA as our pledge amount for our stake pool. Now the stake pool fixed fee, so it shows here the value in dollars, but we do want to consider that this is something we would have to look for in ADA. So the amount of ADA fixed fee is going to be the amount that you charge as a stake pool operator to your delegators for remaining online and helping to validate transactions on the network. So in this instance, we've got a 250 ADA fixed fee. So I think that's pretty realistic. That would amount to about 30 US dollars. So let's go ahead and stick with that. I think that's a fair amount. Now the stake pool total stake. So what is this exactly? So the stake pool total stake is going to be the amount of ADA that's delegated to your stake pool based on the entire circulating supply that is available to be delegated. So what we have in this instance, we're set at 1%. I think that 1% is a pretty big number from what we've seen on the incentivized testnet. You know, stake pools that had achieved that 1% delegation to their stake pool were at a point where their stake pools were saturated. So what this will do over time is it'll diminish the rewards that your delegators earn because the amount of ADA that is delegated has reached that certain threshold. So 1% I think is quite a bit, and this, for the sake of this video, I want it to be as conservative as possible. Let's see if we can knock that down to about 0.5 or 0.4. You know, I think that's more realistic. It's going to give us a better understanding as to if it actually makes sense to run a stake pool. So for this instance, I'm going to choose 0.4%. I think that's pretty fair. The stake pool operator rewards percentage. So what this is, you have the stake pool fixed fee and you have your stake pool operator rewards percentage. The way I like to think about this is that one is a variable fee, so it's a percentage, and the other is a set cost. So the stake pool fixed fee is going to be your set cost. Every epoch, you will charge this amount in ADA for remaining online. Now, the stake pool operator rewards percentage is a percentage based on the amount of stake that's delegated to your stake pool. And there are a couple of factors that go into that as well, you know, talking about your performance, you know, how much ADA is delegated to your stake pool, the number of blocks that you mint per epoch. So there are a few things to consider there as well. I think 10% is a little bit on the higher end. I still think it's pretty reasonable, but let's say that you were going for maybe like a lower percentage, you know, just so that you're being conservative. In this video, I'm going to be as conservative as possible, maybe around about 5%. I think that's pretty fair. So what this would mean is that the stake pool operator for running the stake pool would earn 5% of the rewards. The delegators would earn 95% of those rewards. So that's what we're looking at for that. The total stake pools, we can see here, this parameter, if we do adjust it, it doesn't necessarily change any of these values that we can see at the bottom. So I'm just going to leave this how it is. We're at 100 total stake pools. The delegation participation rate. So 35%, I believe that's very low. I think that it would be more realistic, you know, to consider something like maybe 75 or 80%. I believe something like Tezos, you know, when Tezos released their staking, there was almost 70 or 80% just tied up in staking. So with the anticipation of Shelley and people getting on board with the expectation of being able to earn passive income, I think we will definitely see a higher delegation participation rate. So for this video, let's stick with 75%. And stake pool performance. So we've got ours set at 100%. 100% is definitely the performance rate that you are aiming for as a stake pool operator. You want to make sure you're minting as many blocks as possible, that you're maintaining a consistent uptime. So 100% is definitely the goal. We can go ahead and choose that for this instance. So if we take a look at some of the metrics here at the bottom, these are some of the values that we've come out with depending on those parameters that we're adjusting. So our running costs, if we see here on a daily basis, now keep in mind guys, this is actually going to be more likely per epoch. So I know it does show per day, but this is likely going to be every epoch. And the reason for me saying that is because on the incentivized testnet, each epoch lasted 1 day. However, with Shelley mainnet, each epoch will last 5 days. So keep that in mind. It's just to give you a visual representation by using this calculator. Also, I think we could potentially see overall rewards decrease with the amount of stake pools, with the amount of participation. They were talking about something close to around 6% per year in terms of your rewards percentage. So just something to keep in mind. You guys just want to take these numbers with a grain of salt. This is just to give you a visualized representation. So running costs, we could see per epoch is about 250 ADA. That's that fixed fee that we've set. And then on a yearly basis, 91,250 ADA. So pretty good, and that's just your fixed fee. Now keep in mind, it's not going to be near that. Let's see if we can do some quick math here. I'll show you guys how to think about this. So if we have 1 epoch on the Shelley mainnet lasting about 5 days, let's see if we can do some math. So let's do 365 divided by 5. That would mean that every year there are going to be about 73 epochs. So what we can do with that is we can actually multiply 73 times 250, which is going to be our cost per epoch. That would yield about 18,250 ADA. So this yearly number right here isn't going to be the most accurate. It's not even close to 91,000, but rather 18,250 is what you would earn every year as your fixed fee. So now let's go ahead and take a look at the stake pool operation rewards. So this is based on those parameters that we've set, and these are definitely going to be subject to change. You guys really just have to understand that these are all just estimations. It's not necessarily set in stone. If you are going to play around with any of these parameters, I think it might benefit you to play around with this right here, the stake pool total stake. So depending on how large your operation is, you can adjust this accordingly. You will see the outputs for the numbers that you've chosen are definitely going to change if you change this parameter. So I would take a look at that, and then I would also take a look at the delegation participation rate. So depending on how many people are actually staking their ADA and what percentage of the entire circulating supply is delegated is definitely going to also impact your rewards percentage. So those are some of the metrics I would play around with. If you're a smaller stake pool, if you want to be conservative about what you would earn every epoch, what we can see here is, let's say, so if your stake pool has about 0.3% total stake delegated, you would actually be anticipating earning about 500 ADA per epoch. And we had done the calculation earlier, 365 divided by 5, there's 73 epochs in a year. We can multiply 73 times 500 and see that after 1 year, if we are still with those same parameters, nothing else has changed, you could potentially earn up to 36,500 ADA per year. So, you definitely want to make sure you consider that. This number right here at the yearly basis, not even close to that other number that we had talked about. And you guys have to also consider that, it's because we were on the Shelley incentivized testnet, and here we are moving towards mainnet, so there are a few parameters that have definitely changed. Delegation rewards, what this is, so we had set aside 100,000 ADA in the form of pledge to our stake pool. This amount of ADA will also earn passive rewards because it is also considered part of the total amount of ADA we have delegated. So now what we can see here on a daily basis, it's about 13 ADA for that 100,000 ADA based on those parameters we set for our stake pool. So if we take 73 times 13, on a yearly basis about 950 ADA just for keeping your 100,000 ADA locked up to your stake pool. So pretty cool. I wanted to go ahead and show you guys that. Hopefully you all did gain a better understanding of how to use this calculator. Again, you guys just want to go ahead and play around with it. Don't take anything that I've discussed with you guys in this video as financial advice. This is just for entertainment purposes. Hopefully you guys have been able to gain a better understanding of if it actually makes sense for you to run a stake pool. So that is what I have for you guys here in this video. I hope you guys are having a great weekend and looking forward to next week as we see more updates happening. Anyway guys, thank you all so much for watching. If you did enjoy it, please be sure to drop a like for me before you go. And I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.